Well, folks, as Bilbo Baggins said it, we're going on an adventure. Well, he said I'm going on one. We're going on one. LiFePO4 batteries should not get into sub-zero temperatures. And when I installed the batteries at the cabin, my intent was to only have them in the porch temporarily and that I would move them before the winter weather really hit. Well, they were doing so well in there, and with the PopCan solar heater, it was staying above freezing. It was fine. But then I noticed overnight that porch could cool down because of the PopCan solar heater as well. Now that's a bit of an issue. And I realized it was because it really needed to be baffled. So I bought a baffle. The baffle didn't work. So now what, right? Now what am I going to do? So at first I thought we might be okay. It's not going to get that cold, right? It hasn't been that cold up there in 10 years. Famous last words, folks. It's going to be minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit tomorrow night. That's below safe discharge temperature on the batteries, which is -4. One of the reasons I left those batteries in there is because on the website of the company that I bought them from, bigbattery.com, seems like a good company. They're great batteries, but they had a mistake. On the dual 24-volt mule batteries, it states low discharge temperature of -22 degrees Fahrenheit. I'd heard that they would not charge after 20 degrees and they would discharge down to 0 at one point, so that's what I was going by. But then I saw that on their website and I thought, -22, it's never gonna get there. It might get that outside, but not in the porch. Then I saw something else that said, yeah, they might break. So I got a hold of the company and they said, -4, buddy. Storage temperature is 23 degrees Fahrenheit. So you really ought to try to keep them above that. The bottom line is, folks, it's too dang cold and I need to move them into the back room. So Tim just showed up. I'm gonna quit yakking. We're gonna get this Jeep packed up and moved out of here and we're gonna head on down the road. So stick with me. Let's see if we can save those batteries today, folks. Let's get her done. 21 degrees now. In Omak it was 22. Real feel was 3. We are in for some cold. All right, folks, well, it's 13 degrees out, snowing. Looks like we've got a couple more inches of snow. Tim and I got the chains on the Jeep. So now, the fun of trying to drive up the hill and get to the cabin. 13 degrees, we got to get up there and find out how those batteries are doing, folks. So wish us luck. Let's head up the hill. I don't really need to be in 4-low. Sometimes it's just better to just leave it down there. I can crawl better if I need to. When we get up to the top of the first hill here, we'll check the chains. All right, let's see see what we got here, folks. I always like to just check, and you can see it's a little bit on the loose side, but that's not bad, actually. I think we're good, folks. First hill down. A few more to go. No solar production on the roof, that's for sure. No solar production on the ground either. Hey, wait, those steps were cleaned off, man. Yeah, folks. A few more inches of snow, that's for sure. The batteries say 26.8 volts, so they have it shut off. It's cold in here. Let's see what we got, folks. Temperature is 26 degrees. Wow, so it did stay warmer in here than outside. That is awesome. I did not turn the power on because right now my main concern is get things warm. Get wood stoves going, try not to track the snow in, Eric. That is weird that it's saying it's drawing 14 amps. There's no way it's drawing 14 amps. Right now it's saying it's plus 0.2 at 100%. That's interesting. So they are charging even though they're not supposed to. That's interesting, folks. They're showing 26.8, 26.9. I bet if we went and cleaned those solar panels off, we might get them to charge. So they're supposedly, they won't charge They are. It's about 25, 26 degrees inside the porch. Yeah, so I got the back heat on. I got to get the wood stove going here shortly, but I'm going to get this solar panel cleaned off because they seem to be taking a charge. All right, here we go. That's something. You sure as heck aren't getting a charge up there. Yeah, I think the PopCan solar heater is actually warming up the room. I could see a little bit of, it's like darker right here. So I'm guessing that it got just enough production. Okay, I'm gonna get the wood stove going as soon as I get my boots knocked off. Well, folks, cleaned off those solar panels. So we're bringing in 1 amp. That shows 15, so it's gone from 14 to 15. I am going to go ahead and turn the power on. Because for now, look at that, we got power. For now, not bad. I got to start the wood stove, folks, so I'm going to get to it. All right, folks, this is going to be a little bit different video for you because I was in a hurry. Temperatures were already plummeting. We had seen 13 degrees at the bottom of the hill. So we got there. I got the wood stove going. I actually ran the generator for a little bit, just did everything I could to give a little bit more charge on the batteries. And once we were fully moved in, I shut everything down and began to tear everything out. I've got to get these batteries moved into my back room. Now, bear in mind, temperatures are supposed to drop to 15 below zero. Well, wait till you find out what they drop to, folks, because it's gonna get cold, really, really cold, very, very quickly. So I have a super insulated, heated back room for my composting toilet and my water main inlet. And I had always intended to put these batteries back there. I just hadn't finished the room in time to do it before the winter. Well, now I have no choice. So folks, let's get this thing done. All right, folks. Well, I got my camera on a little late for you, but that's okay. We're kind of in a hurry, so I'm trying to get this done, but I will be showing you what we did afterwards. But real quick, I'll just tell you what we're doing. So there was an octopus on here. I pulled that off. That's my bus bar for my batteries. There's my batteries. There's one there. Those two there. We got them charged up a little bit. It was warm enough in here. Now I've got to take my DC panel off. And once I've got the DC panel off, and to do that, I'm going to have to move my inverter forward and disconnect my heavy cables on the back of this inverter. So I'm going to have to go ahead and disconnect this, get all that out of the way. Then once those are disconnected, I will label those cables there with 2 stripes. And so what I've done is I put 1 green stripe. This goes to the bus. And I put a stripe on the bus. So 1 goes to 1, will go 2, goes to 2, and so on. So it should move fairly quickly. Now, some of the things that I won't be able to move right away are my generator AutoGen start switch. I won't be moving this 24 volt to 12 volt converter because it doesn't work very well, but I have a new one. And I won't be moving the charge controllers. There's one inside the house and one here. I'll just extend the wires to those. So all I've got to do, get this off the wall, get this guy done, get these batteries out of the way, and then take this and the bus, which we set over there, and the rest of these parts into the back room. Once we get a bit of back room, we get all that back there, we can bring the batteries back there too, and start working back there. That back room was at 43 degrees. It's 9 degrees outside right now, so we can't mess around once we get outside. We don't want these batteries to cool down really below, they say -4, but I mean below freezing really. They're not going to cool down that fast. It takes a while for things to really cool down, so we'll be okay. And by the way, when I got here, we weren't here very long, and I noticed that the thermometer I have outside on the porch was reading 11 degrees. So it was 26 degrees, 25, 26 degrees here in the porch and 11 outside. So it was 14 to 15 degrees warmer in the porch than it actually was outside. So that was kind of nice. But I can't leave the batteries out here because even at 10 degrees, if it's -10, it's going to be 0 in here, and we're talking -15 outside tomorrow night. Folks, it was colder today. I'm betting it's going to get even colder than that. So I'm going to stop yakking and get working because I got to get all this taken off the wall, get those batteries moved, get this inverter moved, and get everything into the back room. So enough yakking, get to work. Well, folks, it's 5:05, and as you can see, we are down to lanterns. And we're still at it. We got the batteries moved. I didn't bring that to you. I'm sorry. It was too much. Get her done, get her done, get her done. Let's go out here. We got down to single digits. Hey, look. No batteries. No DC panel. All right, folks. Let's see what we got going on out here.
Your porch says 0 degrees.
So Tim says it's 0 degrees out here, according to the porch thermometer, folks. And of course, you know, we've run out of light here. Let's have a look here. Oh yeah, well, I got a half a degree above zero. It's a half a degree above zero. It's cold, folks. We had to move those batteries, even with the solar pop can heater helping a little bit. It was just too much. So we'll jump down in here. Well, I won't jump. Tim and I just power lifted the batteries in. So it will be a bourbon 30 night. All right, back in the messy back room. We got the little buddy heater working there. I got my heater working there because those fans got to run, folks. So I got to hook up this 12 volt or 24 volt to 12 volt converter. The batteries are hooked up to the bus. I will, let's see, the DC panel is run to the bus. These here go to the inverter, which we may or may not bring in tonight. So this is set up at least to be able to run 24 volt to 12 to run those fans, which I need to run in order to push the heat down to the floor. So I'm going to set you down so I can get that done. Sorry, folks, I don't have enough room in here to put a camera so you can see what's going on, but trust me, I got to get her done. Give me a second. All right, folks, check it out. Fan's running. That fan's running, which means the fan in there is, well, that one should be running too. I hope it is. We've got the 3 batteries here hooked up. And as you can see, they're all at 28 and a half, 28.4, 28.5, 28.5, providing 24 volts to the bus. And then from the bus to the converter, we've got the 24 volts and 12 coming out, which, yes, it's haphazardly strewn, but, you know, we just strung some wire here and there. Honestly, that wire used to go to the wall and go out the wall to the cabin where all that power came from. So these fans, they move some air. They're not moving a ton of air, but they're definitely moving some. That one sounds kind of like it's getting bad. Probably need a new one there. And this one here, that one's moving good air. So that one, it's running, barely, but it is running. I'm feeling air movement. So the idea, folks, is that I got to get some air movement in here, push that heat down to the floor so that these batteries stay nice and toasty warm, which hopefully they will. I've got a thermometer right there. That's that little white guy down there. So we're going to turn this buddy heater off. We don't need that on now. Okay, and we'll get that out of here. I think for now we will be taking a break, folks. All right, yeah. See stars, folks. We were about a half a degree above zero. Oh, well, folks, it's a bit crazy. 6 inches of snow or so. Tractor definitely did not like warming up, but we got it warmed up. I'll have to get the tractor and put it away now. So I'm going to do that. But for now, we're going to be running lanterns because we ain't got no other light, folks. Oh, it's nice and warm in here. Yeah, this is it, folks. Lanterns. We're up to 69 degrees, so we're getting there. I can turn that back heater off now. Well, folks, it's 35 degrees and supposedly rising in the back room. Let's have a look. Actually, that says 35 and holding now, so I don't know if that's good or bad. We got all the lanterns I've got out, so that's working for us anyway. And I'm going to go out and check the temperature, and then I got to disconnect the battery on the generator or it's going to die. So let's go get her done. All right. Well, the porch is down to 40 degrees. And last time I checked, which was an hour ago, it was -2 degrees out here. And I've got about -3, so it's starting to stabilize. Maybe that's a good sign, folks. All right. I need to grab my light out of the Jeep. Then we're going to go back to the generator. The door was almost frozen. Ooh, it's cold. It's amazing how much a simple cover will do. All right. All right, that's disconnected. Here we go. All right, -3 out. It's supposed to get down to -12. And there's stars up there, so I'm thinking it will. I mean, I guess there's always stars up there, but it's clear, and when it's clear, folks. Oh, and I can feel it. My legs are like all of a sudden like, okay, it's cold out. Get back in the cabin. I'm only wearing jeans. Mess in here. Yeah, we're holding it 40-ish. A little over 40 in here. So that's pretty good with it being -3 outside. So I have to move the charge controllers. There's one here and one on the other end of this pipe. And the reason is, and I hadn't thought about this earlier, was that you need much heavier gauge wire coming from your charge controllers to your breaker panel that goes down and then down to your batteries. So you got like 4/0 that goes to the batteries. This is like 6 gauge, I think. And it's because you're putting more amps out from the charge controller to the breaker box and then eventually to your batteries versus, and it's coming out at 29 volts versus coming out at 70 volts. So 70 volts coming through the solar panels, which these actually are coming from the solar panels here as well as this one. You know, that's coming out at 70 volts and, you know, half the amperage. Once it gets to here, it converts it to 29 volts, so the amps go up. So you need that heavier gauge wire. So that's just something that I hadn't thought about. And then I've got these wires here. They come from the solar panels on the roof. So I've got to reroute those and run them to the back room as well. And I can do that from the breaker box that's out there. And I also have a breaker box out there for the other panels. So these ones that come through the wall down here, those actually go to a breaker panel right over here. So all we got to do is disconnect them and then run new 10 gauge wire through some pipe over to the back room, and that'll take care of that. So tomorrow, when the sun's up, because we don't have a whole lot of light, we will start running that wire and getting those solar panels in there so that at the very least, this charge controller and those solar panels are providing a charge on those batteries. That way the batteries can run those fans. Life will be good. Now, I am going to have to replace the fans. Those fans are 10 years old. They've been doing great. It wasn't real critical. It was important to run those to keep the heat getting pushed down back there. But one of them is kind of a bit noisy and it's not putting out as much, well, air, cubic feet per minute, as it was before or as the other one is. And so one of them seems to be working pretty well. I may switch them tomorrow or just run them both side by side tomorrow. I need to get as much of that hot air pushed down in front of those batteries as possible. And then Tim and I have some ideas about running some insulation maybe down in the cold sink that is the stairwell going in there, as well as behind the door, and maybe some baffles in the room, just to try to keep those batteries as warm as possible. They're 35 degrees right now at the floor. It's -3. That's a 38 degree difference. If it holds, we're going to be fine. Maybe that's a little better now that I've turned my light out. So they're holding at 35 right now. Hopefully it holds like that all night. It's -3 now, so that's a 38 degree difference. I'd like to see it hold like that even if it gets down to -10 or 12 tonight. So at -10, we would be at least 28 degrees theoretically in there. Still fine. They're going to be fine. So I'm confident that what we did so far, which, folks, is, well, moving the batteries that were right here that are 80 pounds a piece and disconnecting everything. I replaced my 24 volt converter because this one's not working very well. Output last I checked was like 10.9 volts. Now all my 12 volt stuff was running on it anyway. It will, but honestly, folks, it's not running as well as it could. So the new one is supposed to put out 13.8 volts. That would be good. Then once we move those charge controllers, we should be able to get the inverter also moved back there. Whether we hook it up or anything, not as important as getting the charge controllers hooked up. And then of course my Trimetric, this will stay in the cabin. There's like 25 feet of cable here, so we should be able to run that cable all the way into the back room under the cabin. I don't have to do that this trip. It would be nice. I'm hoping to do it because I would, I'd really like to know what those batteries are doing. This is how I know. So if I have this either staying right here, which is my preference, or setting it up in the cabin next to the wood stove over there where I sit a lot of times in the winter, it'd be nice because then I'll be able to see what's going on. And with the inverter back there, I have an inverter. This is my auto gen start. I also have a remote for the inverter. This is a remote for the auto gen start, which will get moved back there as well. And all of these have 25-foot cables, so they should all be able to be set up over by my captain's chair over here by the wood stove so that I can just, make sure that everything's set up the way I want it. I can turn the power on to the inverter without having to go in the back room. That's the main thing. If I'm going to put the inverter back there, I don't want to have to go back there to turn it on. It's a bit of a pain to get in there, especially if it's buried in 2 feet of snow. So anyway, folks, for now, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, and I'll bring it back to you tomorrow morning, and we'll get some work done. So stick around. Microseconds in your world, several hours in mine. Hang in there. All right, here goes nothing. Good morning, folks. Well, you probably can't see it here, but that is reading about 17 degrees, 18 degrees in here, which actually isn't bad when you consider the temperature outside. All right. I have to tell you, folks, it's cold out here. You can hear it. Hear the snow. So, what I wanted to do is take a look at this. We were supposed to get down to minus 12 tonight. Folks, could you see where that red line is? That is the 20 below sign, folks. It's 20 below zero. And it is still clear as a bell out. 20 below. Holy smokes. The back room stayed at 26 degrees Fahrenheit on the floor, on the concrete floor in front of the batteries. So that did pretty good, folks. Did real good. All right, well, my battery's about to die, so I'm going to go in and get warm because the cabin's 65 degrees. Oh, well, 64, 65. So I'm going to go in here where it's a lot warmer. Oh, folks, that is cold. Oh, and these got to move inside too. I better grab those too. All right, folks, I'm going to go inside and get some coffee, and we'll get back to you shortly. Yeah, I'm thinking it must have. My pine salt's frozen. My pine saw is frozen.
Definitely below 20 below.
Yeah, it was a tick above it when I came out here earlier. Oh, let's see what we got. Oh, yeah, it's about 18. That's about 22. Sorry, that's 22 below zero.
They always say that it's always coldest just before the dawn,
Holy smokes.
It's funny, my little finger, I can feel my little finger get cold.
22 below. Yeah, my stuff froze right here. I noticed that the back room is down to 25. So, but this is frozen.
Oh,
Pine Sol is totally frozen.
Even my Crocs are getting stiff.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's 11 degrees in here now. So it's actually dropped down even more in here. Holy smokes. 22 below. That's the coldest I've seen it here, and that was 10 years ago. Well, folks, it's minus 22 Fahrenheit out. It's a little chilly. We're still waiting for the sun to come up a little more, but it's down to 25 degrees in the back room. So, you know, that's really not too bad, actually. I'm kind of impressed with that. It's, what was it in here? 71 degrees in here and going up, so that's kind of nice. We got the coffee going, so we're good there. We're still running lanterns because we don't have any power. So I've decided that being that it's 22 below zero and it was only supposed to be 12 below, and the high today was supposed to be 0, I have a feeling it's not going to get there. I think what we're going to do today is we're just going to run the wires from the solar panels that are on the ground. Those are the ones that are going to keep getting sun. And we're going to run those to the back room and hook up that charge controller back there so that it provides a charge to those batteries. And then we're just going to hightail it out of here and get down to warmer climates. And I'm not going to try to do all the other install work when it's 22 below zero. I mean, it might only get up to like 10 below today. And folks, when it's that cold, it's tough to get stuff done, let me tell you. It is, it's chilly. It's, you know, copper wire doesn't bend very well. And, you know, fingers and things don't work very well either. So we don't need to get any frostbite. I'm not too worried about it, though. We'll be fine. But, so it's going to be a little longer. It's already 20 after 7. And again, 20 after 7. And as you can see, it's still pretty dark out. I mean, it's not dark. It's starting to lighten up a bit out there for sure. But at 22 below, I think we'll wait a little bit longer, you know, before we get out there and start getting to work. I'm figuring it's going to be after 8, probably closer to 8:30 before we really get moving. So, that being said, hang in there. We'll get this done. Well, I don't know if you can see that. The back room's at 30. We are 67 in here. Wood stove going. Got a mess out here. But let's check outside. It was -6 when I last looked. Tim and I are going to go work on insulation. All right, it's windy though, and that wind is not good. I've got 2, 4, 6, -7 with the wind blowing, folks. Oh man, it's cold. The Jeep didn't want to start this morning. Well, it did, but it was giving a little bit of a fit. But we got it started. And then the tailgate, it kind of locked in a closed, or locked position, and I couldn't close it. So we had to kind of fix that. So we got that done. Now we're going to come back here and see if all the work we did is working, and we've got some solar production. So Tim's getting this open. My fancy door here. We are definitely going to have to do something better with that. But for now, it was up to 30 degrees at the bottom of the batteries are. Oh, look at that, folks. 28.3. That, folks, means that the solar charging is working. All right. Congrats to Tim and I are in order. So let's have a look here. This is down and dirty, folks. We moved the DC breaker so that we could run the charge controller into this breaker here, and that breaker goes down to the bus bar below. Then once we got all that set up and got this set up, we then had to run 3 wires through the wall back here. And you can see them right here. They're just kind of running along. Honestly, this is obviously temporary, but we just kind of ran them in here, plugged them into the charge controller, ran it over to DC control, and everything's hooked up now. Flipped the switches, and at that point we were at 26.7 volts on those 2 batteries and 26.8 here. Now we've got 28.4 on these 2 and 28.3 there. Folks, these just came up. They were at 28.3. So they're all coming up now. We're getting a charge on them. I brought my multimeter out here to check them. Don't need to. Now, one of the things we did is I had the old battery platform. It was a 2x6 platform insulated underneath with plywood on top, but it wasn't big enough. So we very quickly cut some live edge stuff that I had and slipped it on top of that, then put this insulation on that and kind of brought it up the backside as well. And then we were able to set the batteries on that. So we didn't have to disconnect anything. We were able to just set them all up. And so now they're at least several inches off the floor. The floor is colder, so that's going to be better. Now, I mean, this here like this obviously would be more ideal if that sat kind of a little bit away so the heat could circulate behind it. And we might have to do something in here to try and make sure that you know, it isn't stopping any heat from getting behind the batteries. We pulled them out from the wall so that, you know, they get good heat. Now we've got the fans running, so we got our 24 volt to 12 volt converter. That's all working. I'm going to order new fans and bring them out so that we could push that air down here a little bit better. So it's a big mess in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you down. We're just going to take care of some of this insulation. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I had removed all the pink insulation from this wall when we were doing a bunch of water work here, trying to set this up so that I had my 12 volt pump so that I had more pressure, because I only had about 20 pounds of pressure. So we took all that away, and I had planned on putting R10 foam up against here and sealing this all off and getting away from that pink insulation, because it's just a nasty mess, folks. And because I don't have a good door in here, mice can get in here. We've got poison, it kills them, they die in here. But you know, there's mouse poops all over here. So not good, right? So we're going to fix that, but today we're just going to stuff that pink insulation back in here to try and help insulate, because this just goes to the outside right under the cabin where air just kind of blows back and forth and the wind can blow through there. There's no skirts, so it gets very, very cold, right? It doesn't feel too cold because there's heat right there, but it does get very cold. And of course that goes to the cabin. Okay, so I'm going to put you down. We're going to try to make a little sense of this in here. All right, folks, I got to make this quick. We did manage to wedge in a couple pieces of insulation back here. That was Tim's idea. So those two will help keep that, allow more circulation. I think we're good there. We stuffed insulation back there. We're good there. Now, when we come out, this is going to get put right here. Oh, I need this insulation. So we got a couple ideas. This one's coming out. This, we're going to put this in front of the door. All right, we'll put this in front of the door, like so. All right, we got that there. Now, we're going to take this and stuff this in this gap here. You're good there. Let's put the door on. Just throw that in the bottom. It might help down there. Well, yeah, it's okay. Let's kick the door on. There we go. I can't stand that insulation, folks. The dust is horrid, and it was dusty back there. So hopefully this will help. We plugged up a lot of the seam around the temporary frame for the door. And then once Tim gets that kicked in there at the bottom, and kick the bottom in, you might, yeah, there you go. Swing that out there, and then see if you can push it in and stick that in there. If not, we get a smaller one. We need probably a thinner one now. There you go. All right. So that should help. Now we put the foam on here. Now we just have to go close the breaker box for the solar panels. So then we're done. It was time to pack up. -6, folks. It's bloody cold. All right. There we go. It's like still -6 out, and there's a wind chill, and that makes it cold. So I got to get my Jeep moved back here, and we're going to get packed up. All right, well, the Jeep says it's -11. I'm going to check this out again. And the porch says -4. Well, folks, the porch says -2. I don't know what the Jeep says. The room got up to 30 degrees, and I think it might even be up to 32 now. So I think the little measures we took to help that insulation in there is going to help. I suspect that room is going to be over 50, probably 60 degrees. So I've got to come back in 2 weeks and check on it and make sure that I'm not just burning through the propane. I could probably turn it back down on real low but I don't think it's gonna make much difference if it keeps it, even if it's 70 or 75 in there. I think it'll be fine. Once it gets up to whatever temperature it needs to go to, it won't take as much to keep it there, so I'm not too concerned. But the wind is blowing hard, folks. You can see that the solar panels are clear on the ground. Those are the ones hooked up to the back. Popcat solar heater is obviously producing a little heat. Don't need it to now. So big thanks to Tim. Where you at, Tim?
Here.
Big thanks to Tim for coming up here with me and enduring the minus 22 - minus 29 degree weather. And helping me get those batteries. They're 80 pounds each, and we got those moved into the back room pretty lickety split. Actually, I was really happy with how quickly we got them in there, got them warmed up, and kept them warm overnight despite how cold it was. Wait, hold up. Minus 29? Yeah, so here's a little story for you folks. My Jeep's thermometer is actually more accurate than the one that was on the porch. We didn't know that until a little bit later, and I'm going to drop something in right here for you to check out. It actually got to 29 below zero overnight. So we showed up at the bottom of the hill. It was 13 degrees Fahrenheit. And by the time it was early in the morning, after I said it was minus 22, what I didn't tell you is that when I went and started my Jeep, it said minus 29, and I didn't believe the Jeep until later. So that's what that's all about. I'm freezing now, folks. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop another video right here for you to check out. Thank you for doing that. I'm gonna take off. Y'all have a great day. The old Jarhead out. Woo! The wind is cold. Yeah.